Tonight on the Fanatic Forum, two fanatics have to grapple with the retirement of an icon, and apparently we have to bid fond farewells to two wrestling greats. So we've got a lot to talk about, and there's a lot more than that, of course, right here on the Fanatic Forum. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. And why am I tiny here? Hang on a second. There we go. Happy Friday and welcome to the Fanatic Forum. I'm your Fanatic and host, George Buehler. I hope everybody's had a good week out there so far. It's a little rainy and nasty here in Elizabethtown, but we'll get through it the best we can here. We got a lot of wrestling talk on the show here tonight, and we got a lot of comic talk, of course, because we got some new reviews as well. But yeah, so can't wait to do that. But first, we've got to bring on my brother from another mother, the Rosencrantz to my Guildenstern here, the warrior poet himself, the Jr Fanatic Seth the Manhammer.
Well, thank you for having me again, George. Good to see you. Sorry, as soon as you started talking, Kenzie had to come over and demand her affection. So that's why I'm all like weird and contorted, you know?
Well, I mean, you've got at least, Kitty's loving on you. One of my cats, her daily, actually her typical regimen right before I go live is she has to use the litter box next to me here. And I'm so grateful for that. Because I would just really be glad, folks, that this isn't like smell-o-vision here, because it ain't this is not pretty here. So
I just like that your smell association with the Fanatic Forum is associated with the cat's litter box as well.
Yeah, this is the part of the show you don't see here. See, you're all seeing like all the fun figures and the art and stuff like that, and clever T-shirts, and what you don't see is down here. So.
Right.
Oh, well, aside from smells and kits and dog visits and whatever else, how are you doing, brother?
I am doing fantastic. I got to check out Dune earlier today. I thought that it was
sweet.
Yeah, I thought that it was great. It was it kept me awake, much like the first one did not. Stuff actually happens in this one, so
yes.
it actually makes me interested to actually get involved and invested into the Dune universe a little more. I might try and read one of the books. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. They can be a little. There's a lot to them, but there's a lot of folks that really dig Frank Herbert's writing, especially the early Dune books. Also, Boom Studios has got the property right now in comic book form. So they've done a House Atreides, and they're currently doing a House Harkonnen, or Harkonnen, however you want to pronounce it. And they've done some other Dune series that I know the Atreides and the Harkonnen series are prequels to the original Dune. So kind of give you more background on the houses and the people within them. So apparently there's a lot of the Dune fans like how Boom Studios has been doing the property. So
yeah. They should do a series and call it Dune Buggies, but have them like as miniaturized insect versions of themselves, like for kids. Make Dune is a children's property.
That is actually adorable. I like it. That's not terrible, really. At first, I think you were going to go with like a kind of Mad Max, on Arrakis sort of thing. But when you started said, insect versions for children, I'm like, okay, yeah.
You kind of, because you play with the word buggy, but then like even in the logo, you can have the Dune logo, but spell it in like children's blocks or whatever, so that you know that it's for kids. Yeah, and
because you got to have it in the little blocks to know. Yeah.
Never give me a budget for anything creative, because you will come up with some of the most bizarre things that I would think that were interesting just because.
Sounds good to me, though. I mean, sometimes you got to have some weird ideas that skip through because sometimes those end up being hits.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody had to make the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles rock stage show. I just watched a video about that yesterday.
Yeah,
It was
that actually happened.
yeah.
Yeah, it was people in suits lip syncing to pre-recorded music, but it was like you were watching the Ninja Turtles perform songs live as they were like
Yes.
a band, like they were the Monkees or something,
Right, exactly. It was glorious.
coming out of
I
our
had that
shells,
I
baby.
had that tape as a child and listened to it a lot. Far more than
I
I
didn't,
want to far
I
more than
didn't
I
have
want
the
to
tape.
admit.
I didn't have the tape, but I think I babysitted some kids on a regular basis, and they were about like 5 and 7 or something like that. So right when the turtles were breaking and the cartoons and stuff, so they had the tape. So I ended up
Okay.
hearing it a lot because of them because they got some of that hearing
Right, yeah, yeah.
tape a lot. So yeah, yeah. But I
Nice.
did have the original movie soundtrack.
Oh,
On
yeah, yeah.
that tape at one point. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was
I
a that
don't
was a
have.
staple. I think I got that with one of them Columbia House deals where you got like I scammed Columbia House like probably 15 or 20 times in my adolescence, to get CDs and stuff because they always would be dumb enough to keep sending them to the same address for nothing.
Yep.
And yeah, I got the Ninja Turtles soundtrack one time. I think I got the Jurassic Park soundtrack another time.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
did you hit BMG as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it was actually I would alternate them. I say
Yep.
Columbia House, but yeah, any of those mail order deals where they
Oh
would
yeah,
send you
yeah,
CDs for a penny. Yeah.
yeah. I totally did that. Yeah, basically my first debt I got into was because of Columbia House as a teenager. So yeah, and also when Columbia House had the video club, ooh, that was
Oh,
troublesome.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Columbia House had the Anime Club, right, where they would send you the anime VHS tapes at one point in
no
time.
way.
Yeah,
Oh,
and their big thing that was how I got my first copy of Akira on VHS was because it was like, "Send $5 and, you'll join the anime club." And, cancel it, send tapes back, cancel at any time, the ones you want. Well, I was just of course, I told my parents that I was just gonna cancel after the Akira one, right? And they wouldn't get charged for anything else. And, of
sure.
course, I didn't. And,
No.
like, the next, like, 3 tapes that came through were, like, the most weird Japanese porn, stuff that you can imagine, and it's like, "Why am I ordering this?" And having to explain to my parents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the random pick of the month. Unless you say no, I don't want that. I don't want this.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and
exactly.
it doesn't help
Yeah,
when it's titled
I
something
love
like
it. They rope you in with Akira, and to get you to stay, they go with tentacle porn.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was
Oh,
some I think one of them was actually even Wicked City. Do you remember that one?
oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Wicked City. I mean, there's some weird tentacle stuff in there too, but that one actually has a plot. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but it's like, would you show a 13-year-old boy that movie?
No,
Like
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
Mm, Lord
but anyway,
above. Oh
yeah.
gosh. All right. Well,
Yeah, they'll
before we
have to
get
tune
to
in next week, though, for our discussion on weird Japanese media.
oh man, I did a whole dissertation in college about like uh, products that were exclusive to Japan, and it was just very specific stuff. This had to be everyday life products. In Japan, the one that always got me, but made sense because people, especially live in the big cities, they all live in an apartment complex or whatever else. Were a daily pill you take to help your poop not stink. And like the tagline was like, "We must be responsible for our own smells."
Wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
but
You know
yeah,
that
but
I
it was
yeah, it's funny that you say that because it's like that makes sense on a lot of levels to me now because sometimes I go down weird YouTube rabbit holes, and one time it was about Japanese apartments, right? And so you know how they have like a lot of communal like bathroom spaces.
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense now. Why you wouldn't want to be offensive to anybody else in there because you got to share yeah, wow, okay,
Yeah, I mean, and it makes sense with Japanese culture because they actually care about other people's feelings
yeah,
and their decency and privacy and dignity and whatever else. Unlike some
right.
cultures, you
Just
know
the
who I'm
idea that
talking.
like if you go to a restaurant in Japan or like a public cafe or a public space in Japan and there's like somebody's purse and cell phone sitting there, they didn't just leave it. Like they're just marking their spot. Like nobody's gonna touch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. That just won't happen at any spot here in America. That stuff would be
I
gone
know. Yeah,
in a minute.
I was watching a video where like American was living in Japan for college or whatever else, and noticed that you couldn't hardly find trash cans in public areas because basically people are considered to be kind of responsible for their own litter. Like they'll like put it in their pocket or put it in their purse or bag or whatever else, and then throw it away when they get home. It's like
Hey,
that's yeah,
yeah.
it's like weird. We got some comments in here already. Ryan
Oh yeah.
Permisson's popping in here. Well, he's already talking Sting stuff here. We'll definitely get to Sting here in a moment, but I got to do the it's
It's
Sting.
Sting.
So thanks for being here, Ryan. We'll talk about some wrestling stuff here in just a moment. But I do
Yeah,
have
we'll talk
nice.
about what you all want to see us talk about instead of weird Japanese things.
Yeah, no, it's like oh god, I can talk for days about that stuff.
Yeah.
God bless them. I love the Japanese. Outstanding culture. All right. My one big pick for Marvel this week here, Avengers Twilight issue 3. Let me get full screen up here so it's a little easier to see. There we go. Great Alex Ross cover here. This is, of course, not connected to regular continuity. This is just what they call a sandbox miniseries. Chip Zdarsky, Daniel Cunha are the creative team on here. 3 issues in now. This is an Avenger. This is basically a future Marvel universe where basically most of the Avengers are either dead or retired. New ones have taken over, and they're kind of jerks. They're being led by Joseph Stark, who is the son of Tony Stark and Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp. So apparently they hooked up at one point and made a kid. But we get a big triumphant return of Ms. Marvel in this issue here. But again, this series has just been firing off on all cylinders. It's very Captain America driven, kind of like he's the last true hero sort of thing like that. So yeah, just an amazing series. It's been selling out like crazy too, so it's been kind of hard to get a hold of some of these covers here. One of my favorite X-Men covers of all time got a facsimile re-release this week. X-Men number 268.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That
that
is
beautiful Jim
yeah.
Lee cover there. It makes sense because there's a miniseries out called Madripoor Nights, which literally goes back to this time period. It kind of it's a modern day kind of reunion of this trio here, with also Psylocke involved, and can't remember who else. Somebody else from the X-Men is involved. But just like all the events in this issue here. But yeah, kind of a reunion of this in Madripoor. But yeah, it's great to have that. There's a foil variant of that as well. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. My one pick from DC this week, Green Arrow issue number 9. This has been an outstanding series. One of the best Green Arrow series that's been out in a while. The Josh Williamson's been writing this one here, so it makes sense because Josh has been firing off on all cylinders recently. But yeah, we get kind of the new world post DC, the Titans Beast World storyline, where essentially Amanda Waller is on this campaign to ruin heroes for the rest of the universe. Like, she wants the public to hate the Justice League, to hate the Titans, want to get rid of them, put her people in, Peacemaker and some of our other Suicide Squad people. They're the real heroes. We're, trust us because we're the government, sort of thing like that. Even to go so far as Amanda Waller has moved into the Hall of Justice, set up shop, and renamed it the Hall of Order.
Oh.
Yeah. And so Oliver breaks in to the Hall of Justice because they put up all these redundancies and security measures to keep like Batman and Superman out and keep out Wonder Woman and all that stuff like that. They didn't do a thing for Ollie.
So he can just stroll right on in.
He can just ninja himself right on in there and find out what he needs to find out. And what he needs to find out is that basically Waller's got an offer for him. And perhaps it's an offer that he can't refuse. So,
kind of a bomb in your neck offer?
No, kind of like, look, there's a war coming where it's basically going to be the normals versus the superpowers, and you're a normal. You want to be on our side or not? So
Okay,
it's kind of like, yeah. And he's also Oliver's looking for Roy because he's been trying to reunite the whole Arrow family, including Connor, all of Roy's kids, and everybody else. Everybody's been kind of like either separated by the multiverse through the machinations of Malcolm Merlin, which basically that's where Ollie's been for a couple issues, or some of the kids looking for Oliver, sort of thing like that. Well, everybody got reunited for about 5 seconds. Then Roy went off and did a job. Apparently, he got run afoul with Amanda Waller, but now apparently she's working for him. But where's Roy? Don't know. He's not around to answer for himself there. So, but there's a little bit of a mystery going on in the Green Arrow book. Apparently, it's only going to 12 issues, so we're getting close to the end of this series here. But yeah, it's just been an absolute dynamite series for old Oliver Queen.
Okay.
Yeah, really, really good stuff here. Oh, we got a couple more comments. I got to address them real quick here, since even though we're still talking about comics here.
Yeah.
Ryan Permissa saying, "Happy Friday, folks! Happy Friday to you."
Friday.
Travis Hungate says, "Happy Friday! Hello from Kentucky." Hey, neighbor! Thank you, Sting. Yes, sir.
Yes,
I'm over in Elizabethtown, Travis. So there you go. We're not too far away, probably. All right, a couple more comics here to talk about. This is all my indie stuff here, and this is the real sweet stuff here. The third and final issue of Canary from Dark Horse Comics. This is started out as an Old West murder mystery, and then things take a turn in issue 2 where it gets a little weird here, because apparently the mine that people are going missing in, or people are doing bad things in, whatever else, it may be corrupted by what could be a very old ore, could be something far more sinister. Not entirely sure, but Scott Snyder is the writer on this. Dan Panosian's art. It's literally like reading Red Dead Redemption, the comic book. It is beautiful art, very landscape centric. So yeah, Panosian's just killing the art, and it's Scott Snyder. So yeah, I didn't say nothing further on the writing. Yeah, it's a great book, and they kind of gave like a little tease, like maybe something they may come back to in the modern day. Sort of thing like that. It's like there could be a sequel to it. But Canary's the name of the town where all the stuff is happening. But yeah, just a great, great, great Old West book here. From Image Comics here, this is kind of a 2-for-1 here. Radiant Black number 28 and 28.5, because of course the current storyline, I'm trying to get this back here. The current storyline is the Catalyst War, and there's basically a split storyline. So the alien source that the Radiant's powers come from, basically the main characters of Marshall and Nathan have been kind of splitting the power. Sometimes one will use it, sometimes the other will use it. The source finally said, no, it's got to be one of you, make a choice. So a choice was made, but during this war, we got basically, what if one guy made the choice? What if the other guy made the choice going on here? So the first issue this happens, you get a slight, deviation from the issues here, and then from there on it's literally like reading 2 completely different books, even though this is the same issue.
Right.
It's been a fascinating storyline, a fascinating gimmick to do. No one's really ever done this in comics before, where you're literally picking up 2 separate issues with 2 separate things go on here. In this particular issue, number 28 and 28.5, we get a big loss. And it's not the same person in either issue here. It's literally how things are going. And yeah, it's kind of if you've been a reader for Radiant Black, it's a tough one. But it's really just making this storyline like, what are they going to do? Because apparently at the end of the storyline, the points will converge again and become one book, and there will be a permanent choice. So I don't know if they're going to do kind of a, like this was some sort of training scenario, and whoever they liked the results better. I don't know how they're going to do it, but yeah, it's been great. Speaking of great, and also Josh Williamson once again here, Duke number 3.
Ooh, number 3's out? I didn't know that yet.
Number 3 is out, baby, and it's good. We get another classic character from the G.I. Joe universe that is introduced in this issue, and well, I don't want to tease too much, but they don't stick around for too long.
Have they revealed that the Baroness is really Zartan yet?
No, she's still the Baroness.
Okay, that's coming. Yep. That's coming. I know it is.
They give up more background. Like Duke knows who she is, and they kind of like you get like a little bit of Baroness's background in this. So yeah, so it's a very Baroness centric issue, but someone is introduced, and like I said, they don't stick around too long. just to kind of give you an indication of this is not your daddy's G.I. Joe book. This one's a little more grown up. So, last but
Nice.
not least, this is the one you've been waiting on here, buddy.
Oh, I know. I can't wait to get my hands on that one.
Titan Public, yeah, I got you a copy, of course. Titan Comics and Hero Signatures has given us an absolute gift because already they've got the new Conan series that I've been raving about since issue 1 about how good it is. If you're a Conan fan, it's kind of a throwback, but it's new. It's a little grittier because it's not a Marvel series. It could be a little more adult, but this is the return of the classic Savage Sword of Conan magazine. It is. It's in black and white, and let's see if I can get a little.
That's a chunky boy too. That
Yeah,
is
I
a
don't think
thick boy.
I don't know if I can get a little ASMR here, but I'm just
I
the
can
pages
smell the
them.
pages from here.
I mean, it's newsprint. It's got a great texture to it. You basically, it's like you get the nice glossy cover, but it's floppy like a magazine. So if you want to take it in the bathroom, it's sort of stuff like that. It's like it hits on every level. You get a forward by Roy Thomas, kind of talking about his
Oh,
career
nice.
with Conan, the kind of the genesis of the original Savage Sword. And also he's like, oh yeah, these fellows over here at Titan have invited me. It's like, if I've got any stories in the pipeline I want to share, I'd be more than happy to. And I'm like, does Roy Thomas have some Conan stories in the pipeline? It's like, the man's
Right.
been writing them for over 40 years. It's his favorite character.
I was
He's
gonna,
got
yeah. No, but yes, please, Roy Thomas. Like, what are they gonna do next? Like, say it's like, oh, Barry Windsor Smith wanted to try and do some more art for us. Like, and we were like, maybe.
yeah,
Like what do you say? No, yeah, of course. Roy Thomas
yes,
wants to write
please.
Conan.
Please and
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yes.
You get this beautiful map of Hyboria.
Oh, that is killer.
There's other pinups in here. Let's see here. You get a new story here by John Arcudi and Max von Faulkner, who's a fairly new artist. Max's art is amazing.
Ooh.
There's a prose story in here by Jim Zub.
I was gonna ask if there was any prose in there because that was the other thing I dug was just like yes,
Right here.
nice.
Let's see. Here we go. One of my favorite parts of the magazine, right? Let's see. And the John Arcudi, or sorry, the new story in here like takes up the majority of the book.
Oh
So
wow! Oh dang!
that's the new story right here.
Wow!
So you get a beautiful reprinting of The Road of Kings, the
Ooh,
classic Robert E. Howard poem that literally this is where Conan was born. It's this friggin'
yes.
poem right here. It brings chills to my spine every time I read it. Also, another treat here. Patch Zershert brings us back to Solomon Kane. We
Solomon
get it,
Kane.
and
Oh,
it's a continuing story too. So next issue will have the continuation of this story too.
that is
And
awesome.
even to nerd out even further, a historical essay about Solomon Kane.
Sweet.
I mean, it
Oh,
just this.
dude, Solomon Kane. Like people sleep on Solomon Kane. I feel like, and that character is just like imagine like if the Punisher were a Quaker, and like or not yeah, a religious zealot Quaker deal. Yeah, because
Yes, yeah,
that's all. Yeah, that the whole line "Men shall die for this." He walks across and he finds this dead woman's body that's just been mutilated, and he's like, "All right, some dudes is gonna pay." You
yeah.
know,
And I mean, he's literally armed with like he has the old kind of foil rapier sort of thing like that.
yeah.
He's got a bunch of flintlocks usually, and his very fervent faith in
Oh
God and
yeah,
all that kind of stuff
yeah.
like that.
There's I mean, he talking like there's a little bit of Rorschach too. Like there's no middle ground.
No,
There
yeah,
was.
none
Oh,
whatsoever.
dude, did you ever read the? It was in a Savage Sword, but it was a Solomon Kane story. I don't know if they'll ever reprint it, but Solomon Kane runs across like the Muslim version of himself, and
Oh
they
yeah,
fight. Yeah, and it's like they're like yelling stuff at each other, like like your God is a false god, and it's like no, Allah is a false god. Like yeah, they're just battling.
yeah, but they can't understand each other because they don't speak the same language. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's like they're
exactly. But
literally
they're the
saying the
same
same thing.
dude. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great story. But yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like I said, I've been pitching Savage because there's like 4 variant covers. That was the Joe Jusko one. There's a Virgin variant of that. There's 2 other variants alongside those. I just everybody that's been coming in that I know is a Conan fan of any measure. I'm like, you need to if you grew up on reading Savage Sword, you need to pick this up. Your childhood is back, and it's back with a vengeance.
Yes, that is awesome.
And
Wait,
that's also, folks, this is not for children either. There is more violence in this one traditionally than in other Conan stuff, and there is a bit of nudity as well. So this is the
as well
grown up.
as any Conan story should have plenty of both.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and we have a hello from upstairs from Mrs. Fanatic.
Michelle. Oh,
And even Travis is saying hi from over where he's at, and he says that he says greetings, guys, neighbors. There you go. He needs to make a road trip to Clyburn Comics. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah, yes, sir.
that
And,
story is a great story. Yeah.
and he's not just saying that because he's my best
No,
friend, because he's
no,
actually
but no, it's a killer story. Like, yeah.
yeah, and we got a big sale going on too, so this would be a good weekend to come to the A-Town store. So
Ooh.
Shepherdsville is not having the same sale because they've got a 1-year anniversary coming up real soon here. I
Ooh.
think in a week or so, perhaps. Yeah, so they got a big anniversary sale coming up. So they weren't doing the same sales we were because usually we'll mirror the same sales, but now they got a special
Right, right.
instead. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to make the sales this weekend though, because there was kind of a truck that drove off the Second Street Bridge.
yeah, I
So,
saw that.
yeah, but
Zoink, Scoob. Well, that's okay. I mean,
yeah,
I'm coming down to you anyway for AEW on Sunday. So I'll
yeah,
see. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
So
going down to
hopefully it'll be
Chicago.
open by then too.
Well, I won't cross the section.
Oh yeah,
I'll figure a way
I'm cheap, so it's like I hate the toll idea, but yeah.
around it. I know, I do too. Yeah. So well, whatever else. Travis says the Canary looks interesting. Yes, sir. 3 issues. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. Like I said, it gets a little, like I said, there's a little supernatural, maybe something kind of maybe weird that gets involved halfway through the series, but it fits and it feels natural. But yeah,
I
good old
love
fashioned
Weird
kind of
West
Western.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
that stuff really kind of gets. I love it.
and there's a cool gimmick the main hero kind of has because he's got a bandana he always wears because he's basically like he's some kind of ranger, not like a Texas Ranger. He's basically kind of like a known lawman that goes out and apprehends guys. But his gimmick is when he's basically on the hunt for a bad guy, he has this bandana he puts over his face, but it has like an outline like a coffin. So it's
Huh.
almost kind of like a Django kind of
Huh.
you know
But you
coffin.
say he's like a ranger, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, he's got
And he's by himself. Like, you
yeah,
would you
yeah,
say
he's
he's
solo. Yeah,
so like lone?
no, no, no.
Sorry. Sorry. Thank you for walking into that one too, by the
Yeah, you're welcome.
way.
Michelle says, "Hey,
Uh,
Steph, Travis." Travis is intrigued by Duke #3. Yeah, it's really good.
yeah, the Energon universe stuff is really getting me too. Like, I'm in love with all of that. Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good.
All right, one little bit of comic related news here before we take our quick break before we start talking wrestling here because we're all see once again. I love it. We do 30 minutes of comics and other geek BS here, and then we get to our topic of
Right, yeah.
wrestling. Yeah.
The last show we did was an hour and a half. So
And that's our kind of record for us because that's kind of feels shorter than what we normally do. So
yeah.
it's always we're always just trying to get back at Joe for back in the BKI days, where it's like when he always try to keep
Yeah.
us to an hour or 45 minutes or something like that. I'm like, no, we want to talk more.
Right, yeah. It's like we're having fun. George is getting paid, and it's like I don't have to go back to work until after this is over. So I want to stay long.
Whee!
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's a bit of comic related news here, folks. So, of course, if you're a regular comic buyer on your Tuesdays and Wednesdays, DC Comics switched to Tuesday distribution for their new books during the pandemic. Went to a new distributor, all that kind of jazz. They are staying with their new distributor that they've been with for the last few years now, which is Lunar. Been fairly successful for them. But starting July 3rd, they are going back to Wednesday new release day. So everybody's back to Wednesdays now. Thank God. Because sometimes
Yay.
we get a little confusing sometimes when we'd have folks come in on Tuesdays, they'd see all the new books laid out on the top shelf. I'm like, well, you can check out those books, but don't touch those books over there. And we'd still get people like, well, like, ooh, what's this? Stop.
Right.
Yeah,
You can't break street that yet.
it's like, nope. We don't want to get closed up here and not be able to get stuff. Stop.
Right.
So, yeah, so July 3rd, everybody goes back to Wednesdays there. So that's very interesting. And yeah, it's going to make things a little nicer here. Travis says he normally watches watches at work after the show live run on YouTube. Oh, cool. Well, I appreciate that, man.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to respond anyway because I like bringing up comments here. All right, so we're going to go back to our break here for Comic Books for Kids, the charity sponsor on here. And when we come back, it's time to talk Sting and talk wrestling here. So we'll be back in a bit.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
And we are back. All right. Ding, ding. Time to talk wrestling here. Of course, before we got to talk about Sting and his final match in AEW Revolution coming up this weekend here, we got a couple of losses to talk about this week here. One, of course, first this week, we lost the great Ole Anderson. Of course, we know him from definitely his NWA Crockett era days. The classic Four Horsemen, because he was one of the original members, one of the founding members. So, and of course, he was also one half of the Wrecking Crew. And so basically it was him and was it Gene Anderson?
Yes.
Gene Anderson brought him in. And then after Gene retired, then basically Ole brings in Arn Anderson, even though wasn't his real name. No one is related, but it was always
the Anderson the Anderson brothers are not really they're kayfabe brothers, but
yeah. There are some wrestling families that are real brothers. You know, the Von Erichs, the Briscoes. You know, both sets of Briscoes.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
You know, the Funks. You know, stuff like that. They're actual brothers, but then there's some that aren't, or like the bloodline kind of blurs the lines of reality and relation a little bit,
like Jimmy Hart was not one of he was a member of the Hart Foundation, but not because he was born in not because he was born in Canadian, but
he was not from Canada.
Yeah,
no, he's a Southern boy,
right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then, of course, another loss. Actually, this was kind of surprising because he only was 61 when he passed here, but we also lost Virgil this week here.
Yeah, that one was surprising.
Yeah, he had been fighting with colorectal cancer. And, of course, he had announced a few years ago that he's also been battling dementia as well. So, so it didn't quite say what the actual cause of death was. Or at least I'm not aware of what it was, but but it was unfortunately lost him as well. So, of course, he started off like a Soul Train Jones. Was it in Memphis? He was partnered with Rocky Johnson. Of course, everybody definitely knows him as Virgil when he was in the WWE as the valet manager for the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase.
That's where I remember him from. Yeah, is Virgil because he was. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh wow! You get to meet him at the.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I got to meet Ole at the NWA Charlotte Convention in 2015, and it was we went down there, and it was actually funny. Somebody posted after Ole passed, like, what was your favorite Ole memory? And me and one of my buddies that we went with were like, well, our favorite memory is whenever we saw him at like 6:30 in the morning, like at the hotel. Like he was Ole, he was himself, as we know.
He was famously a curmudgeon, just kind of
very famously a curmudgeon. Yeah. He took Grumpy Old Man to like 6 new levels. But like they had this event that was Breakfast with Ole, where Corny moderated an Ole Anderson Q&A. And it was great because Ole was Ole and Corny was corny, and it was. It's 7:00 in the morning.
Oh, I need to. I
But
need to see that.
yeah, my memory was just him in the only in the lobby before the thing started, just yelling at people the entire
Oh,
time.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, and Travis reminds us the Andersons originally started with Lars and Gene. Okay, so
Oh yeah, I forgot about Lars. Yeah,
yeah, everybody forgets about Lars.
yeah.
And apparently, you're being talked about in the comments here between Bill and Michelle here.
Oh
So
no. Oh
yeah.
goodness. I don't have the
That's where.
comment stuff, so hopefully it's good things.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, yeah. Bill is wondering, Soul Train Jones or Virgil. So I remember obviously, I started out, even though grew up on Memphis wrestling, he was already gone from Memphis and in the WWE by that time I knew who he was. So I remember most as Virgil.
Yeah, I remember most as Virgil too.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't in Memphis for very long, if my memory serves, because he, traveled around a little bit. So
No.
before he basically landed in WWE, was there for the majority of his career, for or at least the most successful part, and then brought him over in WCW, where he was part of the NWO as Vincent.
Vincent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yeah, a fun little bit of wrestling trivia is that and it was to kind of point to how kind of funky Vince McMahon was. So Virgil, obviously, like the character is Ted DiBiase's manservant.
Mhm.
And his name was Virgil because Dusty Rhodes' real name is Virgil Runnels,
Yep.
and it was a shot at Dusty.
Mhm.
And so when he goes to WCW and becomes Vincent, that becomes the shot at Vince McMahon.
Yep.
So basically, this man, the man's most famous gimmicks were just named after other people to try and mock them.
It's a
But
jab. Yeah.
yeah,
It had nothing to do with him.
right, yeah, it was just
I don't know. Well, of course,
so,
this is also the same industry that
wrestling.
brought
Yeah,
us. Yeah, the same industry that brought us Gilbert. So
yeah, yeah, that is true. Gilbert, I think, is funny though, just because Goldberg hates it so much and doesn't
Yeah,
realize that if you just laugh at yourself a little bit, people would like you a little more,
I'm shocked to think that Goldberg takes himself way too seriously.
maybe. I know it's hard to believe, right?
Yeah, sorry. I will never. I mean, I liked Goldberg for a hot second back in the day, but after his little run in with Bret Hart, basically ending Bret's career because he's a sloppy worker.
Yeah,
Yeah, you killed a legend's career, sir.
right.
You, not
Yeah,
quite a legend, but yeah. All right. Enough of that. We got to talk about the man of the hour here. This guy,
the man called Sting.
or this guy,
That's
or
my guy.
or perhaps this guy, or even or maybe just this guy right here. Yeah, because there's snow. Because
Yeah,
now every time Sting appears, there's snow.
and,
But
and what's so funny about that is, and bless my mother's heart, like she never understood. Like she's like, why does he come out with snow now? He never came out with snow before. I don't understand why. Like the snow bothered her. It was like
you know,
I could never explain it, but that was just one of the she loved Sting. Other than that, she just never understood the snow.
I,
But
I mean, it makes sense because, like, yeah, I can see her train of thought because, like, he didn't really have any kind of extra gimmick in WCW after the
right,
Crow
yeah,
Sting thing because that was the gimmick itself. But then, like, when he was in WWE, they had like everything was crows,
yeah,
and also the weird Japanese drummers. What that had to do with Sting at WrestleMania, I don't know, but it was cool. But what
yeah.
they had, I don't know. I mean, unless Sting requested that, unless I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool if I had a whole bunch of Japanese drummers, bringing me in. That'd be neat. So I don't know.
I have a hard time seeing Sting requesting that, but
You never know.
yeah, it's
You
possible.
know.
Yeah, yeah, and never know. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
You know. Yeah. Bill Doris says calling Vince McMahon funky in the last few weeks is weird. Well, that's a nice way of calling him, but yeah, I mean,
That was also me catching myself and not swearing on your podcast.
yeah. See, yeah. See, you can swear over on Smokes and Road beers, but we have to keep it clean here for the network.
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's my nightmare is that I end up like saying the wrong words here, but I hope that I have not done so yet.
and Bill says, "You don't know Sting's life. He might like
You're right.
Japanese
I know
drummers."
he might have been like, you know what? I do want those Japanese drummers. That sounds like a great idea.
Oh, and Michelle here's got to go with Stank, and this is a hilarious story here.
Yeah.
So one night I'm watching, because our Seth and I's tradition has literally been since the pandemic, that he and I will be watching AEW Dynamite from home and just texting each other our reactions, comments, whatever else, or just general chit chat, sort of thing like that. But this has been happening for years now, pretty much since AEW's been born. Yeah. And one night we're watching, and this is when Sting and Darby Allin have started teaming up together as a tag team, and they got shirts that say Sting and Darby. Well, Michelle read the T-shirt wrong and thought it said stank and dirty. And she goes, why would you put that on a T-shirt? And so I said, oh, no, it's Sting and Darby. But now every time they come out, Seth and I know it's stinking dirty. So
stinking dirty. No, and what's great is is seeing wrestling filtered through the lens of Michelle and just seeing her. Yes, stank and dirty. Exactly.
Stank and dirty. Yep.
And just hearing her reactions to some of the things, or like what she thinks some of the chants are to hear, which you can tell. Like, we can't repeat one of them here. That was my
for what they think what Adam Page's chants are for Cowboy S. She thought it was something else. Yeah, but so. I know. I love watching wrestling with Michelle because there's just some great. I mean, granted, there's some stuff she actually cares about, or some wrestlers she knows or whatever else. But there's just sometimes she's just got some great questions and observations.
The ones that really make you question like the logic of it's like, this is what I invest a lot of time and energy in, and they've just done something stupid. Michelle could just like question it and like yeah.
There you go. Can you see the emoji there? Yeah.
Yes. So exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
There you go. Read the emoji, folks. That's what she would think. They're chanting "cowboy" something for Adam Page. It's
that. Which just the idea too of like you're watching wrestling and you just don't understand why the crowd is arbitrarily chanting two words that don't make sense in combination with each other.
Absolutely.
And this is the thing that we love. And then we don't feel weird trying to explain things like the Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So sometimes there's a lot of times we got to explain. So it's either there federations that I'm not familiar with. I have things explained to me.
Yeah.
Like, who is Effie? I know that's a tag team, but it's like the tag team's called Effie,
right?
Anyway, Brian Permisson, hello, Mr. Ryan, sir. Good to see you. He says he grew up watching the Monday Night Wars, and Sting was obviously one of his favorites. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, Sting was the dude. Sting was Sting was that hero that we all needed growing up, and I think he hit puberty, not he hit puberty. We all hit puberty right at the time that he did the Crow gimmick. So once he started being all weird and emotional, us men folk could feel comfortable being weird and emotional through Sting and through wrestling. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, of course, man, I'm a little older, so I remember right at the end of basically Surfer Sting, which basically this look right here.
Oh yeah. No, I remember Surfer Sting too, because I remember being really upset with Jake the Snake Roberts blowing up those kids on the beach and then Sting having to go and save them.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, actual wrestling story, folks. This happened. Yeah. Jake the Snake Roberts supposedly blew up some children in Jim Herd.
Yeah.
If you want to hear about some really ridiculous stuff, look up any of Jim Cornette's podcast stuff on YouTube where he's talking about Jim Herd at his time when he was basically running WCW. This was a guy that was an executive that knew nothing about wrestling, didn't watch wrestling, didn't grow up on it, anything like that. But when he got in charge, he had some ideas.
Well, he was responsible, though, I believe, for giving us Sting's second greatest tag team partner.
RoboCop?
Yes. I'm not kidding, folks. Sting tag teams with RoboCop.
With RoboCop, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, couldn't do anything in the suit. Couldn't do anything other than beds and bars.
Oh my God! Yeah. The poor actor in the suit was like.
Yeah. Not Peter Weller. Not Peter Weller from my
not Peter Weller. No. This was not a movie quality suit either. This was good enough for TV.
Yeah.
Ryan says his favorite Sting moment though was when he actually joined the Wolfpack for NWO. So before he started watching WCW, his return on AEW was beyond epic. Okay, so yeah, interesting. That's definitely a later moment for Sting because he, at one point, was soloing, feuding against the New World Order, and then when they splintered off, then he basically got an opportunity to join up there.
That
So yeah,
before Sting joined the Wolfpack, like up to that point, like I thought that was one of the best storylines in wrestling. Like it's like
yeah,
not just the NWO. Like I think the NWO was a great storyline in and of itself, but the idea of having Sting, like having his WCW's friends like think that he's like betraying them, and that
right.
was what started the transition, and then the whole build into like him hiding in the rafters for a year and all
Yeah,
that jazz. Like
yeah,
it. Oh.
for folks that don't, weren't, we basically didn't watch wrestling at this time here. So basically, when Sting starts debuting this crow look here, so he basically literally goes from this to that. Like starts growing his hair out, darkens it, goes to his natural hair color, which
Well,
basically he's
well,
turned.
actually, I don't mean to stop
Oh,
your time, but he was still doing the surfer gimmick when he stopped dyeing his hair.
right, yeah, he was still.
Yeah,
There was a period where he had dark hair, but yeah, he was still
yeah,
right. You're exactly right. Yes, but then yeah, basically once he, once the NWO was kind of like trying to put an end to WCW and sort of thing like that, and Sting was literally kind of the face of WCW. He was kind of their Hulk Hogan. He's the he was the kid's favorite and stuff like
yep,
that. And so he starts transitioning into this kind of like dark avenging angel. And literally, like Seth said, for 1 year, we would see Sting in the rafters. They'd always get a shot of him up there. He's up in the catwalk, the spotlight on him, and he doesn't speak, doesn't have
nope,
any promos, doesn't have any matches for a year, and then finally comes down from the rafters, and beats up, all the NWO
yeah. Oh,
guys,
cleans
and
house. Oh, it was epic,
and that's of course where the bat
epic.
starts coming into play because he didn't carry the baseball bat before, but now it's kind of his signature is carrying this black baseball bat. But yeah, so just
Yeah,
that. I mean, you're absolutely right. It is definitely one of the best storylines. But yeah, the level of long play storyline telling they do for this one. I mean, fans were
yeah.
glued. This is why WCW won the Monday Night War for a period of time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Because you weren't getting like this was deep storytelling for wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
especially like to do stuff like letting him wait for a year and having those angles where it's like, where you've got Luger, who it's like everybody knows is Sting's best friend, Luger trying to reach out to him and Sting cold shouldering.
Yeah.
The NWO is just running roughshod over everything this whole time. And I'm the Wolfpack stuff, I never got into that much. Like once they started branching off with the NWO, that was when it started to get really diluted to me.
Yeah, the
And then
balloon definitely felt the rose, but
yeah,
and it was
but
also kind
I
of
did
weird.
dig the red and black Sting
Oh.
crow stuff. Uh-oh.
That's my light.
Wow.
I unplug something real quick here. I'm hiding in darkness here. Hang on a second.
Right on. Technical difficulties. I'll do a song and dance. Fanatic Forum.
And we're back.
All right. I was doing a little technical difficulty song and dance for you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, it's like it was just it's a fantastic storytelling here. But yeah, it was also kind of weird with the Wolfpack stuff. Like Sting started doing more promos because we got used to him not doing promos,
Yeah.
and then he kind of goes back to he's in like red and black makeup, like the crow gimmick here, but it's red and black instead of white and black. But he's going back to doing promos like when he was Beach Sting, and Surfer Sting, basically the woo, and
Yeah.
like it's showtime, crazy stuff like that. So you got used to him not doing that stuff. That was jarring when he started doing it again.
Yeah, because it almost like it didn't fit.
Yeah,
But then
exactly.
it kinda there was kind of I believe towards the end of it, especially like the last year with WCW where Sting was like the only sane one, it felt like in
Mhm.
the pool of crazy. Like especially with that last match of Nitro with him and Flair.
Yeah,
It's like that was like a really peak pinnacle. Like that was when it like really kind of gelled together with the Crow Sting and like the Surfer Sting, like to make like hybrid Sting, like he was a Pokemon and came out to his new form or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And of course, he has taken many forms, like you said, because when he after WCW folded, there for a bit, people thought he was going to go to WWE, and at the time, he honestly Sting had no desire to go
yeah.
to work for Vince McMahon
And
because
that was the coolest thing too, because he was the holdout. Him
yeah,
not going to WWE immediately, like that built this mystique around him.
yeah,
And
it really did.
yeah, because I believe wasn't he the only guy for the longest time that didn't come over from the Monday Night Wars? Like that didn't
Yeah,
happen until yeah.
yeah, because
And
there
so
was like because
go ahead.
guys like Hall and Nash and Goldberg couldn't immediately come over because they were still under contract with Warner Brothers, so they had to sit on the
Right.
shelf for like almost 2 years, and then they started bringing them in. But like there was a lot of the undercard, the mid cards, kind of the guys who were on the verge of being stars, like Diamond Dallas Page and Booker T. Those guys could come over immediately. But the established stars, the people, the basically the tent poles everybody really wanted, Hall, Nash, Goldberg, Sting, a lot of the others, there's a handful of others, they couldn't come over immediately. So, but yeah,
Right.
Sting was the holdout because basically, like, I don't like Vince. I think he's a scumbag. Because
Yeah.
the one thing about Sting you could always say about his entire career, and it's extremely rare for a wrestler, no controversy in this guy's career. There's
Yeah.
no sex scandals. There's no drug
Well,
periods.
hang on. There is. No, no,
Is there?
yeah, yeah. But no, he will admit it. But it was not like. And when you say there's no like sex scandal, you don't have stories of like Sting being grabby in a locker room
Right.
or
Yeah.
anything like
Yeah.
that. You don't
No.
have
Yeah.
like
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
like Sting was DU. Like no, Sting will even tell like he got addicted to pills and he was an alcoholic for the longest time, and then
Really?
yeah. Yeah, he talked about it in his Players Tribune article that he wrote a couple of years ago. Like when he won the WCW title, like one of the times that it should have been like one of the best nights of his life, but it wasn't. And that was actually like the big thing about Sting is like he's very into his Christian faith,
Yeah.
and
Because he found Jesus what in the early '90s or something.
yeah, that was because of that. Like he had hit rock bottom, and that was when he converted, and he finally finally made that a big part of his life. And he's one of the dudes that like you can look at and like as far as anybody can tell he practices what he preaches, like he's an
Yeah.
impeccable long story short, basically, like from my understanding, the only damage that he ever did was more to himself than anything else. Like
Right.
but yeah, but he did still have those demons, but he wasn't like you don't hear stories about Sting hitting anybody, when they're drunk or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sting's not going to be he won't have a Dark Side of the Ring episode. Let's put it that
Right.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just a good guy. Yeah, he may have had a problem because of an injury. But I mean,
But he's
overall,
a
like I said,
human. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
From what I understand, like Sting's problems weren't any different than like the guy who like threw his back out at the factory and maybe started drinking a couple of too many.
yeah.
Yeah.
Travis got a cool comment here. So it said Sting hurt his knee before pay per view back in 1991, like you said. Had to Clash the Champions. He tore his ACL, so they had to push the title change back. He was out for 6 months. They started advertising on the Saturday show at TBS to send cards and letters to him. I remember that.
Oh wow.
I remember sending cards and letters to Sting. Yeah. WCW or was saying that so you're about 12, so you fell for it. You sent a letter to him. I hope you feel better. 6 weeks later, you got a WCW magazine and a pamphlet selling T-shirts, and you're on their mailing list for 2 years.
Oh man. Oh, that was just so dirty on their part. I was expecting this story to be like, oh, and Sting sent me an autograph, and
No,
that's
you
totally
got a
carny
magazine
TBS
and
stuff. Yeah.
buy
Oh
our
man.
merch. Oh,
Oh.
God bless you. Yeah, and I remember. Yeah, I knew that one of his sons, because both his sons
Oh
played
yeah.
football, and yeah, one of them went to UK. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never. I mean, I don't watch UK football. I don't watch football. Period. What am I talking about? But yeah. uh, Kevin Riedel, good to see you, sir. Says that Lance Storm said that when Sting talked to him about going to WWE, they would mostly only talk about him leaving would hurt WCW more, so that they would than what they could do for him. Yeah, good point there.
Yeah,
So it's likely why they go. You're right. Yeah, they probably wouldn't.
and
They
yeah,
wouldn't.
and that's still even like that even bled into like Sting's last match with Triple H too, because it was very much a thing where Vince kept pushing that WWE finally won, they finally beat WCW. Sting was the Avenger that came in and failed, and
Yeah.
jokes on
His,
him. Jokes on him though. Sting came back and gave us one of the best 3 years of anybody's career you could ask for,
and
especially at his age and the level that he's going.
and Vince is not having a good time right
No.
now.
No.
Vince is not being celebrated right now. He's
No.
he's lawyering up.
Yeah, him and a bunch of people.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we definitely got to plug, of course, what we're going to be doing on Sunday here. AEW Revolution live on pay-per-view this Sunday,
Yes.
March 3rd, starting at 8 p.m. I guess this is definitely going to be the main event, even though we have a world title match. But yeah, this has got to be the main event. I really wish it wasn't against the Young Bucks. I mean, I love Darby. I love that kid. He's got a
Yeah.
great future. But God in heaven, I wish it wasn't against the Young Bucks. I hate those dudes.
I'm okay with it being the Young Bucks. I've noticed that my perception of the Young Bucks is kind of skewed. Like I remember when they were like the hotness that everybody really enjoyed, and I was just kind of like, oh, it's the Young Bucks, and now everybody's like, oh, it's the Young Bucks, and I'm kind of like, I kind of dig them now. But yeah, I
No,
don't necessarily have a problem with them, but
I did have a good joke though. Basically, this past Wednesday, of course, there was one week they're wearing all these, like all white suits, and then they beat up Sting and Darby and get their blood on them, so they're wearing blood-stained suits. Well, then like this Wednesday, Nick is wearing a pink suit. So like, did he like wash it on hot or something like that? So yeah, it
right.
was laundry-related wrestling joke. John Pica, good to see you, sir. He's got a great question here. Do we think Darby does a heel turn to betray Sting?
Man, if Darby turns on Sting on his last match, man, oh man, ooh,
Yeah, because of course they tease the Flair thing, and why did they pull the trigger on that in the Go Home show?
that's what
Why
I don't
couldn't they?
understand. Like, yeah,
Why
why didn't
couldn't
they
they have
save
saved that?
yeah, at least until Saturday, maybe,
Yeah,
like the collision before,
I mean,
but
granted,
yeah,
watching a 76-year-old man try to punch some dude was embarrassing to watch
that
that
was,
on
yeah, that was
Wednesday.
pitiful. That was so
But
pitiful.
yeah, but the at least the storyline would have worked, but they pulled the trigger
Yeah,
way too fast on that.
yeah,
I don't think he's going to turn heel. I would like, honestly, what I would like to see is that Sting does not lose his final match. I know he's kind of an old school guy. He would go out on his back. That's kind of what you do. But I would not like. I would like to see he and Darby retain the belts, and then basically Sting
relinquish
would,
him.
Sting either they both relinquish them, or Darby has a storyline of finding a new partner.
Yeah, I could dig that. Yeah.
And
Yeah, because
basically,
you don't need to put the Young Bucks over. They don't
no,
need to. Yeah,
I don't want them over. And I wouldn't mind, of course, Darby's is definitely going to be up for like doing handicap defenses like MJF did.
yeah.
So yeah, I kind of hope they win and Darby has the belts and has to look for somebody to replace Sting. So
And I gotta say, like psychology wise, I think AEW is kind of aware of that line of thinking. And if who else would you put against Sting in his last match that would need to go over? It's like I don't think this is Matt and Nick like wanting the glory for themselves. I think it's a logical decision.
yeah,
If I'm
I got
thinking Sting taps them both out at once, I love it.
yeah. Kevin's got two
Scorpion
comments I got to get
Deathlock.
to.
Yeah.
It said Sting did pick the Bucks as his final opponent. I know. I will take it up with Mr. Borden. Thank you very much. But yes, yeah. And then since booking Sting to tap both the Bucks out at once, that would be awesome here.
Just him getting in a double Scorpion Deathlock.
Yeah, there's at least will be an attempt. He's going to fold both those kids up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Travis has an interesting point there. What if Rick does a double swerve? What if like, oh, I swerved on them and I'm still your friend, and then he'd betray Sting in his final match.
Whatever Ric Flair does in this match, I just hope that it's believable and doesn't like his presence doesn't just make me go, oh, he did that so terribly. Why is he in this match? Like he did
Maybe
Wednesday.
maybe he should like have a couple of his own mushroom energy drinks before said match instead of like his traditional 47 whiskeys. Like
Yeah,
drink some of your own product and have a little bit of vim and vigor for this match because for God's sakes, it Sting's last match. Make it better
right.
than your last two matches, Rick.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Honestly, I gotta say, there's going to be a lot of matches on AEW Revolution here. I don't care about the majority of them. I gotta say, I mean, there's some that are kind of interesting. They might be fun, but for the most part, I'm not really invested in a lot of them. There was one. What was this match that got canceled? Was supposed to be the meat slapping.
Yeah, the manly men slapping meat match or
Basically, it
whatever
was going to be like
he
some
said.
big battle royal with like all the giants in the division, and then some of those people are hurt, so now they're calling it an all-star scramble or something. But
Yeah. Did you see what Miro tweeted out about it?
no,
Yeah, he tweeted that some basically like what he tweeted. I can't remember the wording exactly, but the way he phrased it was that he had to tell them, he had to tell them that he was injured because Tony Khan didn't know it. And I don't know if that's because Miro didn't tell them that he was injured, or
Tony
if like,
forgot.
or if Tony, or if it's like a Tony's oblivious to his own roster thing. I don't know,
No, I definitely
but
think he is. His booking reflects that because he'll remember somebody for a couple of weeks and then he forgets that he has them on the roster and for like
yeah,
6 months and they're like,
I
oh,
can't argue
who is
that.
that
I can't
person?
argue that.
Who's from on
Yeah.
TV? Yeah, Britt Baker's appearing on milk cartons these days.
Yeah.
Do you know where this person is? She's not hurt.
Right. Yeah. You're right.
Why is she not on TV? But the one match I do care about because I'm wearing his merch here is Samoa Joe's title defense against Swerve Strickland and
Oh
Hangman
yeah.
Adam Page. Uh,
One of the best Samoa Joe cut one of the best promos of his career Wednesday. That was incredible.
amen to that. That was really,
Oh,
really good. I mean, Joe cutting a good promo is like saying, water's wet. So,
well,
it's,
yeah, but
but
yeah,
yeah, you're right, though. That was a fine, fine promo there. I would like to see him retain. Even though Swerve's very popular right now, the kids love all the bad guys. So,
right.
so I wouldn't mind if Swerve had it, but I don't think he's ready unless they kind of pull something where basically Swerve pins Hangman and doesn't pin Joe.
Right. Keep Joe looking strong, and yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can
but
see that.
I don't know. I'd still just I gotta go with my boy. I'd rather.
I'm a Samoa Joe fan on this one too. I want him to retain. I think that I think Samoa Joe is a beast of a champion.
Mhm.
I think that, yeah, oh man, some of my favorite matches were like that 5-match series in TNA with him and Kurt Angle, where it was just like two dudes that were just gonna beat the crap out of each other. And like Samoa Joe's just one of those dudes where it's just like you know, he's who I would think about. Like I would cast him to play the Kingpin in a Marvel adaptation if
Yeah.
D'Onofrio wasn't already doing it. Because he's just got that presence.
Though I
That
will say he's killing it at Sweet Tooth over on Twisted Metal.
yeah, I've seen some clips of that. I need to watch the series, but I have seen some clips. Oh man, he is imposing as all get out on that show.
Well, and the fun part about it too is that Will Arnett does the voice, but Samoa Joe's the body. But the
Right,
cool thing is that I guess he knows either he's heard the way Will performs things because I mean, there's times like you see Joe do some movements that basically he's all crazy and whatever else sort of thing like that. But it's like, wow, I've never seen Joe kind of prance around like that before. That's really cool, So
yeah,
it's even more disturbing when he's wearing that freaky clown mask thing because you never see his face. He's
right,
always
right,
wearing the mask and on the show. But yeah,
yeah.
season 2 is on its way, so I can't wait.
See, it's funny you say it like that because it makes me think of something that Paul Heyman said, that like like wrestling being part of theater, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Everything Paul Heyman does is always exaggerated so that the people in the nosebleeds can see it too, right?
Yeah,
So like Samoa
exactly.
Joe being, cut from that same cloth of wrestling, he movements, even if he can't express and emote with his face, because how often were people in the stands going to see that? They're not. He has to be able to do it with his body and
Yeah.
convey emotion and emotion that way.
Dude, it goes back to Shakespeare, man, because basically when
Yeah,
actors were in the Globe and they had to play for the cheap seats, the rebel rousers and all the way in the balcony, or the people all the way back on the, basically by the entrance,
yeah,
in the back of here, they had to play for the back of the house. So yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Kevin predicts that Joe retains. So it's not time for Swerve to be on with the belt yet. Okay, okay.
Well, Samoa Joe is going to belt Swerve, but I don't
Yeah,
think with the
yeah.
he's going to belt Hangman too, but.
And I agree with Travis about this one here. Kurt versus Joe should be talked about more. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, it really should. That's a
For
killer yeah.
for
Oh, man.
Dave Meltzer is a wrestling journalist. I put journalist in quotation marks. He runs the Wrestling Observer News and has for many, many years. And he's got his own opinions on things, and you can agree with him or disagree with him. But Mr. Meltzer always has his ratings of 5 stars, 1 star, or no stars, or whatever else for his matches. And he himself has stated that he has never seen a 5-star match that involved Kurt Angle. And I say to you, you've never seen anything of TNA wrestling.
Right, yeah, yeah.
I mean, Kurt had some outstanding matches in his WWE career, but it's literally like he had a second sort of energy going into TNA wrestling and then doing these programs with Samoa Joe. He had a couple other people he had feuds with, but his best feud was when he first came in against Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
it was just
they
outstanding.
they set it up like they didn't even promote it like it was a wrestling thing. They promoted it like it was a boxing match almost.
Yeah, it was a
And
fight.
it was
Yeah,
and it was a fight, and they had rematches and everything, and yeah, screw whatever Meltzer says, there are at least 2 out of those 5 matches, at least 2 of them are 5 stars, and ain't
mm-hmm.
none of them below a 4 after that,
Yeah.
and I'm even counting halves on a lot of them too.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Yeah, and I always love the way that they brought him in too, because at the time Joe was like, was definitely playing heel. He was undefeated at that point. No one could
yep,
touch him, and then here comes Kurt Angle coming in and uh, almost kind of does a reverse of how John Cena was introduced in WWE, where he's like slaps the where he slaps Kurt Angle across the face and says, who are you or why, what makes you think you do this? And he said, ruthless aggression. And he smacks him across the
yeah,
face. And that was how John Cena introduced the world, slapping Kurt Angle. Well, Kurt Angle comes to TNA to introduce himself and headbutts Samoa Joe in the nose, busting him open the
yep,
hard way.
oh yeah.
It's just that's how he's introduced it. Wham!
Yeah, it was just great. It was a pissed off, hungry Kurt Angle with something to prove, like he was just
Well, I
yeah,
think it was like he had some perceived health issues by WWE's doctors, and they wouldn't let him wrestle, and they didn't want to renew his
yeah,
contract, and so he kind of left in disgust. And then TNA let him wrestle. He's like, "I'm going to wrestle over here." And then basically just like, hold
yeah,
my beer.
right.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing with Sting, because
Yeah,
he get hurt. He got hurt at his run in WWE, and that's kind of what supposedly in his career. Then he gets rehab, gets into DDP yoga, and suddenly he's in AEW diving off of balconies onto tables and doing
doing
crazy stuff a
crazy.
63-year-old man should not be doing.
Yeah,
He's
that first time watching Brian Cage powerbomb Sting, and it was just like, oh man, I didn't want to watch Sting die. I every time I
yeah,
think Sting's gonna kill himself, but he doesn't. Him and
yeah,
Darby, man, they're a team. They're definitely fearless.
yeah.
But
Darby's a terrible influence on Sting. He's gonna kill him. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing here on Sunday. Is
yeah,
watching some AEW Revolution, probably chowing down some pizza and doing other things as well, enjoying ourselves certainly.
yes.
And of course, we got another show coming up here in April. It's going to be a big show, I think. Another wrestling.
Yeah, a little from a little indie company,
Yeah, this small federation here, I believe. Yeah.
right, yeah,
WrestleMania 40 coming to you live from Philadelphia, PA. April 6th and April 7th. The big thing here, of course, we know finally it's Cody versus Roman. The last time we were together, we thought that was in jeopardy, but Cody said, no, I'm having my match. Rock, you can go sit down. I got a feeling there's a match coming between the two of them at one point. Some folks are even saying we might see, like, on night one of WrestleMania, a tag match where, like, Cody and Seth have to team up against The Rock and Roman Reigns. And then night two, Seth will have to defend his belt against Drew McIntyre, and then Cody will have to be the challenger for his respective belt against Roman.
Yeah. I'm wondering how they're going to play that. Oh yeah, SmackDown's on tonight.
It sure is. Actually, it's been on for 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I just want to take a second too to acknowledge though, like how we all got worked through that whole deal to get to the point where we are. Like hook, line, and sinker. Everybody like, and I won't buy for a minute like the whole like, oh, they heard like what the fans say and pivoted and all this like that. No, they knew exactly what they were doing. Cody knew exactly what everybody. They played us like a fiddle. And we all bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. It was kayfabe and after I realized that I got hookered, or snookered by it, I loved it because it was kayfabe all over again. It was real. It was
what we've wanted. Yeah, it's like there's so many there's so many fans that are like, oh, I wish they'd go back to the days of when we still believed that this was real, or there was never any doubt, stuff like that, and we got it again. Because they totally hooked us.
And people are going to say it's like, oh, they changed, or I didn't believe it, or whatever. It's like, no, you're full of crap. You bought into it just like everybody else did. We were heartbroken with Cody. We all were.
Yeah, and I love too. They're kind of leaning into Rock's kind of old school heel stuff. Like he's going back to wearing like the $500 shirts or stuff like that. So I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
it's like
his promos are going hard too. Like I'm loving it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm seeing where everything's going to kind of land out. I mean, we after Elimination Chamber, we know Drew's got a match against Seth Rollins for his world championship, and then Cody's going against Roman. For the ladies, it's going to be Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. And we don't know about Becky. Bailey. Sorry, won the Royal Rumble, so she's going after Io Sky. So So at least we know where all those title matches are going there. I'm sure there's going to be some other big matches as well. They at least got to have their one big multi-person match to get all the mid-carders in.
The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale, and
well, I'd heard too there was a possibility that they were going to drop the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, like change the gimmick on it, and then bring the Money in the Bank match back to WrestleMania, which I would like to see, frankly.
I would like to see that, yeah. I would like to see it more where gimmick matches could be just kind of made whenever, and you didn't have like October was Hell in a Cell month, like, or if it warranted a gimmick, it warranted a gimmick. Don't just make it. Don't just try and shoehorn things around. Yeah.
Well, it used to be like these pay-per-views had like kind of specific names, like Vengeance and Apocalypse and Armageddon and stuff like that. And then they just started naming them after the gimmick match, like you said, and then of course there's that god awful pay-per-view of Great Balls of Fire.
Yeah. I never understood.
Did Vince McMahon discover Jerry Lee Lewis 50 years after he debuted and said, hey, that's a good song, pal?
And the only thing I can think of is I think it was in Nashville whenever it did it, and it's like the city associated with music, and that's the song.
The one you pick.
Right, yeah. Oh, okay, bud. Whatever.
It's like, couldn't there have been a current hit, country artist, that maybe is kind of a country rock crossover?
Yeah, you do it all the time anyway.
So somebody that could have worked in that wasn't Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah. And all the kids knew exactly the reference you were making there, Vinnie Mac. But
I'm so glad Vince is gone. I really am.
It's nice.
It's kind of a new day at WWE. You're starting to notice little changes of production, and you kind of just notice a little bit of freeing things, like a little like Pete Dunne's Pete Dunne again, and
Right.
they're teaming up with Tyler Bate. Even though they kind of look ridiculous together because they're tiny and British, they're still great workers.
Yeah.
But
I don't get nauseous watching the match with the zoom in and zoom out.
oh my god, yeah,
Yeah.
jeez Louise. They're starting to give it a little bit more of a sports presentation, sort of
Mhm.
thing like that. Yeah, yeah. I'm liking the new look, the new way of things here. So I hope there's more new stuff to come because
Me
I like
too.
I like a nice fresh coat of paint on my wrestling show from time to time, especially when it's a good color.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah. Well, I think we've gone on long enough here, folks.
We have
I
had
think
a pretty lengthy discussion about everything.
I know, yeah. We managed to fit all the stuff here. And look at this. We're an hour and 15 in here. Look at that.
Wow. Oh,
You know,
okay. Well, we still got another half an hour to go then. Uh,
exactly, yeah. Well, I mean, we do have to plug, of course, your lovely podcast, Smokes and Road Beers.
yes, Smokes and Road Beers every Thursday at 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central on Facebook and the Rumbles. So it's
Mm-hmm.
actually just Rumble. But yeah,
We like to call it the Rumbles, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we like to talk about a little bit of everything, and we like to swear sometimes and everything. So it's not for kids,
You do. Yeah, right. Yeah.
but yeah, come check us out, or tell us we're stupid, or do whatever. It's up to you. As long a view's a view, we'll take it.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I mean, you guys, you handle pop culture stuff as well, but of course, you sometimes take a little more of a newsy approach to things, or have a discussion about it, or
Right.
you bring in other topics or whatever else of things, So yeah, it's kind of a little more grown up discussion for pop
Yeah,
culture
a
stuff
little
there.
bit of a
So
smorgasbord kind of thing. We still are kind of generally idiots, but
yes, absolutely,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And of course, you always have a really good tagline at the end of something like that. So yeah,
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, sometimes those get
always.
us in trouble, but
Well, of course, yeah, they're always not safe for work, but they're always hilarious. So
yeah.
oh yeah, one more point to bring up of a change in WWE because Vince, for whatever reason, hated the word pro wrestling. It was always sports entertainment. But in the new day of Triple H running things, Travis is correct. They're calling it pro wrestling again,
Good. Yes. Yeah. That's right. That's
and they're
right. I did
referring to
notice that.
championships as belts again.
Yeah. Also, they're not going to get in trouble for saying strap.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you think they're gonna start using the tag ropes again?
Oh, I wish they would, man. I really wish they would. Actually, I was so upset when FTR made that a gimmick part in AEW, and then they just dropped it like 2 weeks later. You know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to see one AEW show where no one fights on the outside or uses any level of furniture. Just wrestle in the ring. There's
Right.
a nice ring that the crew and the young boys and the backstage guys, they built that. It took them a couple hours to put that together.
They
You
did it for
use that
you.
ring.
Yeah.
I've participated in the building and tearing down of a ring. It takes a while. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of people. So there's a lot of plywood involved.
Yes. A
And I
lot.
tell you what, and they're not lying. The foam that protects, that basically goes between the plywood and the canvas itself, literally about that thick.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's very little give to it at all.
very
Like,
little give.
yeah.
Yeah, and standing in one of those rings is really kind of weird. It's like a trampoline with like more, like they made it really tight, but there's still
Yeah.
like little give. It's a weird feeling, especially when you're not used to saying it. Or used to being in
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so use the ring, guys. It's there. It's there for a reason. It's up above, so all the people in the back can see what you're doing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and you don't want to hurt audience members or anything.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, brother. Well, I'll always love having you on the podcast here. It's always great to have you. We have great times on here.
Thank you again for having me. Always enjoy doing it. Anytime you want to have me, I'll be happy to do it. I just
Absolutely.
love hanging out. It's fun.
Yeah, no doubt, brother. And of course, there's a little bit of an experiment that your podcasting partner, Bill Norris, wants to do, involve us in some sort of March Madness style bracket challenge here. We're going to
Yes.
talk like, you know, some kind of geek level of discussion on this bracket here. So I
Yeah,
look forward
George
to
is going to be
participating
the
in
arbitrator or the arbitrator of that between Bill and I, because
that.
Bill and I would never agree on many things. So somebody has to come in and hopefully take my side more than Bill's. But
Well, yeah, I'm just saying,
no,
as long
be
as,
fair and balanced, George. As long as
well,
you stay on my side.
there may be a moment or one or two where I may disagree with you, but for the most part, I got a feeling that Bill and I are going to fight, and that's okay. Because as long as he
I
knows
don't.
I'm right, we'll be fine.
Yeah. To be fair, though, you and I do disagree on things from time to
We do,
time.
yes, we
Yeah,
do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly right. Yes,
yeah,
most of the time we are on the same page. When we disagree on something, though, we have our own
yeah,
our good reasons for it. It's not just
yeah.
a bicker thing there. Yeah. So, all right, brother. Well, you all had yourselves a wonderful weekend here. Definitely go out and see Dune Part 2. It's out in theaters right now. Seth said it's amazing. I gotta go check it out myself. I've heard other great things. So yeah, I may do that on Monday. So
Nice.
yeah, we will see. That's the day off. So
Right.
anywho, but also definitely check out the Smokes and Road Beers podcast. Also support the Fanatic Forum here. Like, share with your friends. Bring other folks to the table, because I love having people here joining the geek conversations, because we talk about more stuff than just wrestling. We talk comics, we talk video games, movies, TV shows, all sorts of things like that. So all things geek, come on down. Let's have a chat. So
Yeah.
you all have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and we will see you all next time on the Fanatic Forum. Take care.